Now, ministers are planning to expand police usage of facial recognition cameras to help track dangerous criminals, and they're asking the public how far it should go. Well, the government has called it the biggest breakthrough since DNA, with the policing minister insisting the technology will put more criminals behind bars. But there's another side to this. Is it a step towards a communist surveillance society, or will facial recognition make you feel safer? Well, I'm joined in the studio now by the former Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner, Festus Akinbisoye. Festus, always a pleasure to have your company. This is the Labour policy. You're a former Conservative PCC, but you're in favour of it.
Absolutely. And so are other Conservative Police and Crime Commissioners as well, and so is Chris Philp, who is the Shadow Home Secretary. And he's seen how this has been actually quite transformative in his area in Croydon. The reality is this: in this country at the moment, about 200,000 children are reported in a missing incident every single year. You know, I used to be in uniform as a special constable before I became a police and crime commissioner. And you have your morning briefing sessions when you start your shift, and you see all these faces, you know, that you're supposed to be able to remember while you're out on your patrols. There is no police officer who's going to be able to manually remember every single face that they see. This is just a tool for police to be able to do their job better, and we should all be behind it.
There is, of course, another side to this argument. A great many of our viewers might share that, and that is it's a step towards a communist China-style social credit scheme. Why should regular citizens going about their daily business have their faces scanned and perhaps stored and logged by some government?
This is the complete misunderstanding of how this technology works, right? If of anyone that should be probably worried about this should be someone like me, because 10, 15 years ago when this technology first came out, the LFRs, or live facial recognitions, were very poor at differentiating between darker skinned faces. 10, 15 years now, it's so far improved compared to what it used to be. That's one thing. The second thing about the way this technology works is that it does not actually record your faces. What it does is tries to match the face that go past the camera with the face of people who are wanted, either reported missing, which could be your kids, it could be my kids, it could be anybody's kids that go missing, that can't be found, or it could be a criminal that's wanted. Just give you a quick example. In April this year, someone committed a very, very violent robbery where they stabbed someone in London. It was a Rolex watch thief. The person fled the country. They became wanted. Just recently, the person has now been sentenced to 8 years in prison because they walked past an LFR camera in Stratford, right? They had been wanted for several months. Nobody could find them. That person now serving time in jail. No police officer could do that off their own back.
Festus, I drive past facial recognition camera vans, mobile vans all the time on my way in through South London. They're on high streets. Here's the point. A lot of bad guys simply go around wearing masks or hoodies. They won't be scanned.
I have seen cameras that actually, in demonstration, that's now able to actually pick someone up from a very busy high street with a balaclava on.
How does it do that? Just by their eyes?
Yeah, it can actually measure the distance between the eyeballs.
Isn't that something that should concern people even more? I mean, if you've got
criminals that are going around wearing balaclavas and they're wanted.
But here's what a lot of people think about this.
Yes.
Same with ID cards, and they particularly fear perhaps that we have an authoritarian government that seems to want to control and monitor us all over the shop. And here's where things could start to go wrong. If we have cameras in place for the perceived social good of tracking criminals or missing children, who could argue that's not a good thing? Would they be used potentially in another way down the line? I don't know, say during a lockdown. And say when you're not meant to be going out at certain times of the day because there's a heat wave. We just don't know. Can we trust an authoritarian government not to misuse its technology in the future?
As you might know, I'm a big opponent of digital ID, which the government announced a couple of weeks ago. I think that's absolutely mad.
But this is the bedfellow scheme of
But this is very different because it is not storing your ID or data. It is just trying to match existing database of people who are wanted, who are criminals, or who are in a vulnerable position, who are being sought for, with those that come past them. And if you don't match it, it's deleted. The thing is this, right? We have got a very complex crime situation in the country at the moment, of which most of us, thank heavens, never have to deal with. The police need all the tools that they can to help keep us safe. My only caveat to supporting this is this. As long as there is transparency, there is scrutiny, and there's proper accountability of the police use of this, I'm all in support of it. So the police have got to be very public about what is happening, and if they get things wrong, they need to own up about it and fix it as well. But we need to have this in place as a tool to help police in our streets.
Do you think the government can be trusted, the police can be trusted not to store our information and not to have it hacked?
Well, there are many powers that the police have that people will say, well, we can't really trust the police to use, whether it's a stop and search or other kind of powers that they have. But we need to have these powers in place. As long as there's the right level of scrutiny and oversight and accountability for this, we need to have this in place. Otherwise, the criminals, they are not stupid. They will find a way to get through the loopholes if we allow them to be in place.
Festus, you're a fine man. It's always a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Festus Akinbisoye, pleasure.